So the NBA regular season ended over the weekend. The Clippers successfully lost their last 2 games to finish in their desired location, the number 4 spot in the Western Conference. To get to that position, the Clippers had to move mountains. They had to lose back-to-back to a couple of doormats who are incompetent at basketball, the Rockets and the Thunder. Like, they're essentially, the Rockets and the Thunder were so bad here the last part of the season that they had an open casting call on the internet, and if you wanted to play in the NBA, you could go and try out for the Rockets and the Thunder. They were that bad. So how did the Clippers do it? They rested Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, but that's not all. See, the other guys are pretty good, so they had to then either bench Rondo or Marcus Morris and some of those other key players. They just didn't play them at the end of the season, but the Clippers ended up in the number 4 spot. You would have thought this was some kind of war crime, judging by the reaction of some of you knuckleheads. And I got a kick out of it. I actually had a big smile on my face when I saw this, and I've heard some of the noise that's bouncing around the pinball machine of sports chatter. So let us discuss, did the Clippers make a mistake by intentionally losing games at the end of the regular season to get the number 4 seed? And the only acceptable answer is no, they didn't. They didn't make a mistake. And if you think that, you're a dummy if you think they made a mistake. Now, my thoughts on this: you've got Romans, gerrymandering, and Cypress Hill. And we will tie all of these things together into an adequate Maller monologue. Now, the Clippers are playing by the modern rules of the NBA. They didn't make the rules. They are just merely following the rules of engagement. It's not something I particularly care for. However, to shame them somehow for doing what has been done regularly for at least a decade in the NBA, that is abysmal. All right? Oh, because it's the Clippers, they shouldn't do it. Right? Kawhi Leonard and Uncle Dennis, who are running the show along with Jerry West, they've done the calculus. They've done the arithmetic here. And when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And that is what the Clippers do. And they put themselves in a position where they could pick who they wanted to play in the playoffs. They had an ace card that not many teams had, and they played it. They played the ace card. And that's all that's going on here with the Clippers. The NBA doesn't care about the regular season. It's a suckers game. The reason that people get all up in arms and all this and oh, it's not right, because there's some people that still think the NBA regular season has some tangible value. It doesn't, right? The reaction is equal parts faux outrage and clutching of pearls, right? That's what that is. Yawn. We yawn at that. If the association, if they were so concerned about such shenanigans that the Clippers, like a war crime that they committed here, if they were so concerned about that, then they would actually punish teams, legitimately punishing them for resting star players at the end of the regular season. It doesn't happen. Right? They talk a good game. It's all a bunch of window dressing, and it never actually happens because Adam Silver, I'll tell you why. Adam Silver is cool with this being the way it is in the NBA. There's a social norm in the NBA. And these hot take artists who are raising a ruckus, I can't, they're making this up out of thin air because this is the perfect scenario. We like to call this after the fact outrage. After the fact. Let's say that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had played against the Rockets and Thunder. And let's say that, I don't know, Kawhi Leonard had a knee problem that popped up against the Thunder, and Paul George rolled an ankle against the Rockets, and both of them were questionable for the playoffs. We're going to miss playoff games. It would have been same old sorry-ass Clippers, right? Why are they resting? Why didn't they rest these guys, right? They don't even know how to handle situations like this. I can't believe they didn't rest Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, blah, 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 blah. Again, after the fact, outrage. Now, part B of this, the Clippers, what they did here is they took advantage, as I said, of the situation, which is what you're supposed to do in life, right? You play the cards that you were given. The Clippers were given these cards, and being good opportunists, That's what they did. Much like in the political world. We see this all the time in politics. The person that holds the office, they gerrymander, right? This is the basketball version of gerrymandering. The Clippers were able to redraw the map. They manipulated the road, engineering what they believe will be the perfect path. Now, they have to actually follow that path and get it done, but playing teams they deemed inferior, teams they wanted to play, mainly the Dallas Mavericks, and as a result, they consider themselves in a better position to win the election, which would be getting to the NBA Finals. They wanted to play Luka. They know Luka's soft and he's a nut job with the Mavericks, and this guy is off his rocker, and then likely a date with the number one seed, the Utah Jazz, who are not someone you're intimidated by despite their gaudy regular season. But again, the first rule of doing this when you're going to gerrymander is you better not stub your toe. So it's put up or shut up time and all that, and Doc Rivers ain't walking through that door. You can't blame Doc Rivers this year. He got his pink slip after the nuclear reactor meltdown, Chernobyl style, against the Denver Nuggets. So if the Clippers have a similar implosion, then they can't blame the coach because they handpicked the puppet coach they wanted in Ty Lue, so then they have to find somebody else to blame. Now, the last word here. I went back through the email. I got 7 messages, which might not seem like a lot, but I have a regular group of people that send me messages, but one topic where people were just, I can't, but why didn't you do a monologue about this? Well, you're dodging. No, I'm not dodging. Okay, I'm not dodging. It was actually flattering, as I was about to say here, this neurosis that it was all Laker historians, right? Enraged over the Clippers picking their path because they had the option to do that. How dare you try to avoid the Lakers? Oh, how dare you. Yeah, like the Lakers are so intimidating with LeBron James hopping on one leg and Anthony Davis just a second away from his next injury. So this reaction, everyone's going full Cypress Hill, right? Insane to the membrane on the Clippers. And so why don't I spit some facts here? Your jealousy is wonderful for someone that follows the Clippers, right? The Laker historian jealousy. And it shows you that the Clippers run L.A. This reaction, I can't believe the Clippers would do what almost every other team in the NBA has done for the last 10 years who had the chance to do it. And I can't. And the Clippers are taking up real estate in your head, right? And I know, listen, it's a good red herring to distract. And if you're a Laker historian, you want to distract from the sad state of affairs in Lakerland, because you got your phony Mickey Mouse bubble ring, like something you get out of a box of Cracker Jacks. The Lakers finished seventh in the Western Conference this season. How embarrassing is that? A defending phony champion. Seventh? Disgrace of an NBA championship follow-up season when you had the same team back. Those backup players were exposed as frauds. And instead of focusing in on that, how pathetic and weak that roster is, instead you're like, the Clippers, I can't believe the Clippers did. Oh, my God. LeBron James is damaged goods. Anthony Davis, Humpty Dumpty. And the Clippers know that even if the Lakers were to somehow make a run and win a couple of rounds and have a collision course with them in the Western Conference Finals, with every extra game the Lakers play, the chances of a season-ending injury to LeBron James and Anthony Davis go up, and away! Just like that. Every single game, you are closer to kaboom. See you later. Goodbye. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. That is the reality for the Lakers. And plus, the Clippers have owned the Lakers for years. This is an outdated take. The last decade has been a domination situation by the people's team over the Hollywood elites. That's the reality. You might not like the reality, but that's the reality. So stop with your emails and your, I can't believe they did. No, stop. Right? Clippers were in position to pick who they wanted to play. And they picked The Dallas Mavericks, they didn't pick the Lakers, so you better worry about beating Steph Curry because America, the sports fans in this country are going to be pulling for the Golden State Warriors to shove it up LeBron's tuchus. How about that?